Hi everyone, how's it going? I hope you guys had a great day. I know I'm coming in kind of late this evening, but it's been another busy schedule. But I wanted to tune in with my family and my friends. So let's dive right in. I don't want to keep you guys long. Today, what I wanted to talk about is motherhood, testimony, and faith, and what I experienced in my process. All right. So, hey, Beanie. So, what I wanted to talk about is we went through a lot just to get pregnant and what happened after that. It didn't just, it wasn't all just all a bunch of roses after that, right? So I was working in New York City. We live in New Jersey, and the commute was over an hour each way. And I used to have to carry my laptop back and forth every day while I was pregnant. So it was a lot of weight. And let me tell you, the people on the subway and the PAT train, they do not care that you're pregnant. No one's getting up, offering you their seat. Sometimes they're acting like they're asleep. And if you really feel like the pressure, like might have to tap a gentleman and say, "Hey, can I have that seat, please?" It was crazy because some people just weren't trying to give up their seat during rush hour. All right. So I was about 22 weeks. It was like the week before my birthday, and we went in for an appointment, and the doctor said, "You know what? I think we need to put you on bed rest for a week at home. You just have to work from home for a week." So I said, "Okay, no problem. I can handle that." So we go home. I'm working remotely. Everything's fine. A week goes by, and it's time for another follow-up appointment. So I go to the doctor. They check me, and they were like, yeah, you're not going home." And I was like, "Why not?" They were like, "No, you are trying to have the babies are trying to come out right now, and it's too soon." So they quickly was like, "Okay, we need to give you some medication." And I remember the name of the medication because it made me so loopy. I didn't know what was happening for days at a time. It was called magnesium sulfate. It's some type of medicine that actually tries to stop preterm labor. And another medication was some kind of pump. It was like an infusion pump they would put in my leg or whatever. And like I remember Tillman coming with me to the hospital, but I did not see him literally for another 2 days because I was either vomiting or sick in the hospital bed and totally out of it. I didn't know what was going on. So, shout out to my husband Tillman because he would come to the hospital every single day after work to come see me because I was, by myself. I had a roommate in the room, but I didn't really know that person, right? So the doctors were like, "Listen, we need to try to keep the babies in as long as we can, because they would let us know, if they're born this early, we have to give them steroids. They might have this type of issue or that type of issue." And I was like, I'm praying they're gonna stay in. They're not coming out today. Get the medicine in me. Just get the medicine in me, right? So, and then sometimes I would be okay for a week, and then the next week the medicine wouldn't work, so they'd have to rush me to labor and delivery, and then luckily the medicine would kick in. I think it was my prayers, honestly, because I was like, I really don't want to have them too soon, right? And then I would go back, and then they would put me on the medication again. So the next thing was like I was mentioning, I know it had to be hard on Tillman because of that whole commuting situation, but luckily I was nice to the nurses, and so they actually gave me a private room after a few weeks when they realized I wasn't going anywhere. So I had my own room. So if Tillman wanted to spend the night, he could. And the days that he did spend the night, guys, like he was like, "I got to get out of here. I can't sleep." Because they come in. Think about it. When you're staying in the hospital, they come in like every hour or so, checking your blood pressure. Got to take this, got to take that. So you're always waking up, right? So Tillman was like, "I don't want to stay here overnight no more. I can't get any sleep." So the other thing is, I could only use the bedpan. I literally couldn't get out the bed. The other thing is, if I wanted to do number two, that's the only time I would be able to go to the bathroom is to get up and use number and go for number two and then get back in. It was crazy. I couldn't believe this is what I had to go through, right? I had a TV lineup. I had a TV routine. I remember I was watching a baby story on TLC every day because I wanted to see, okay, what's labor and delivery going to be like? Oh my gosh, should I be watching the TV like this? Like, oh, I don't want to do that. I was watching Law and Order on TNT. Anything on television, I would watch it, and then I would take my naps, and then it'd be time to get up and eat and all that crazy stuff, right? Hi, Erica. Erica is my childhood friend. What else I want to tell you? Oh, the other thing is from that experience, I actually got gestational diabetes. Well, diabetes already ran in our family, and they were saying, listen, hopefully it's going to go away after you have the babies, but we're letting you know that you have a strict diet now. Like I had to eat certain things. Then I was getting, they were checking my insulin levels like multiple times a day. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is for the birds. I can't wait to get out of here. So, guys, after about a week or two of being in this situation, I said, you know what? I'm going to start writing a journal so I can remember what happened during this process. And the other reason why I started the journal is because when my kids were old enough, I said, I'm going to read to them what I went through on a daily basis so they could start to appreciate me. And literally, I remember when they were about 4 or 5, I used to take out the journal and read it to them. And they'd be like, why are you reading this to us? I'm like, because I need you to know what mommy and daddy had to go through, mostly mommy, what I had to go through in order to get you guys here, okay? So, can any of you guys guess how long I was in the hospital? I'll let you guess in a number of weeks. Anyone? Put your guess in the chat. How many weeks you think I was in the hospital? On bed rest, couldn't leave, could only look out the window from my bed. Any guesses? Well, the answer is 10. 10 weeks is what I was in the hospital on complete bed rest. I couldn't believe it. So, what did I do to pass the time? Luckily, I had fantastic friends and family. They came to visit. Yeah, I know, right? Shireen came to visit. My brother and my nephew came. My sister came from Boston with one of her friends, her college friends, because let me tell you, my hair was a mess. Can you imagine not having to get up and wash your hair and do anything for weeks at a time? So I was like, please, someone help me look presentable. At least just like wash it and put a ponytail in or something, right? So I remember one time my sister came down with her girlfriend and did that. And then my other friend, my neighbor, Nikki, she also came to visit. And I remember she washed it for me. And she had to, like, I couldn't leave the bed. So she was washing it in a pail, guys, in the bed, rinsing it out. And then she put some cornrows in for me. And I remember I took some pictures of that experience. I didn't look back at those pictures again. So it was nice to have some people come to visit, that were passing through. I had people come from Boston, from North Carolina, Connecticut, New York, all over. My dad was coming from Maryland. It was awesome. So now let me rush through. So now it's the 10th week. I remember it was Good Friday in April 2006. They checked me and they're like, you know what? We're gonna let you go home today. And I was like, for real? Oh, I'm so excited. They were like, but you have to stay in the bed. You can't move. So I remember I went home on Good Friday. And throughout the weekend, it was Easter weekend, so family came over to visit. We took pictures together. I remember my sister-in-law, Jenny, and Eric were in town visiting their family. So they came, and she had just found out she was pregnant. So we were taking pregnancy pictures with me laying in the bed because I couldn't get out the bed and everything. So 4 days later, I had an appointment with the doctor. They had to check me again. It was April 18th. And the doctor said, we just checked you and you're having those babies today. And I was like, wait, I didn't eat lunch yet. They were like, you can't eat. It's too late. So I was starving because I wanted to eat before. They don't want you to have any, in case they have to have emergency surgery, they didn't want me to have any food in my stomach. So I was like, oh, I'm so hungry. I knew I should have went to Wendy's before we came to this appointment, right? So the other thing is I was thinking, well, my mother-in-law is flying in today. Who's going to pick her up from the airport? And luckily, my girlfriend Tara, she says, don't worry, I'll get her. So Annette flew in that night while we were waiting for the babies to be born. I did get an epidural. I'm sorry, I couldn't do natural childbirth, but I had the epidural and they were in position to be delivered. So, but because it was two, there's always a potential complication. So they said, but we're going to go to the OR anyway, just in case we have to do a C-section. So guys, let me tell you this. I remember pushing for like, I don't know, it felt like eternity. It was only like 10 to 15 minutes, right? And the doctor said, oh, looks like one of them is getting stuck. We need you to do a C-section. I literally laid back down and said, thank God. Because I was like, I can't imagine doing this for hours at a time. I think God knew, you know what? She's not going to be able to handle this. Let's go ahead and just do a C-section for her because I don't think she can handle the pain, right? So as soon as Aiden was the first one to come out, and they put him by my face so I could see him, and then they pulled out Layla. And I remember telling Tillman, go make sure they put the name tags on it. Because I've seen too many movies of those switched at birth on Lifetime, right? I was like, make sure they put those name tags on them and follow them and see where they're gonna put those babies, because I don't want to have no issues. Okay, so of course we were excited, we were thrilled to have them finally here, and I often look back at those pictures of when they were little, and they just all they wanted to do was eat and sleep and just be hugged and carried. Well, now, now they're almost 15 and talking back, telling me, no, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, oh, I want to go back to those days when you guys were infants. So I was in recovery for about 3 days, and the twins stayed in the NICU for about 2 weeks. And so Tillman and I had to go back and forth to the hospital every day to see the kids and feed them and spend as much time as we could with them. And of course, thank God we had my mother-in-law Annette there. She had her own kids and she had grandkids, so she knew exactly what to do. But she was a godsend. We're so grateful that we were able to have her with us when this all was going down. So I say all that to say that I needed faith. I know God was protecting us to make sure that everything went well in order to go through this pregnancy. And that's probably why I don't have any more kids today, because just having those two was enough. Okay. So I want to thank you guys for listening in today. I will be back on tomorrow. Hopefully, you enjoyed this. Feel free to share it with someone who may have had a similar experience. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you're watching live, put hello in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, put replay so we can correspond as well. Okay. Thank you guys. Have a great night.